Reba McEntire's journey into music began early, in a small town in Oklahoma. Born on March 28, 1955, in McAlester, Oklahoma, Reba was the third of 4 children in a family with a deep connection to rodeo. Her father, Clark McEntire, was a champion steer roper who won multiple world titles. However, despite his success in rodeo, the family's life was far from luxurious. They lived in a modest 3-room house without indoor plumbing, and Reba recalls that they didn't even have a phone until she was in 5th grade. Music was a constant in their lives, largely thanks to Reba's mother, Jacine. Though Jacine had dreams of becoming a country singer herself, she chose to focus on raising her children. Her love for music, however, was passed down, and she would often sing with her kids during long drives to rodeo events. It was during these drives that Reba and her siblings formed the Singing McEntires, a group that would mark the first step in Reba's career, a family tradition and the first performance. By the time Reba was 6, she was already deeply involved in life on the family ranch, which spanned 7,000 acres in Chalky, Oklahoma. Helping round up cattle and working long hours from sunrise to sunset was a normal part of her life. Despite the hard work, there was always a sense of unity in the McEntire family. The ranch wasn't just about cattle. They also sold timber, ran a rock quarry, and discovered natural gas on their land, which helped them during tough times. However, music was always close to Reba's heart. In 9th grade, she and her siblings formed their singing group. The Singing McEntires performed at a local 4-H talent show and won first place. It was at this early age that Reba began to feel the pull of music, and it wasn't long before she was performing at rodeos, singing the national anthem at events. Her early performances were a sign of things to come, but it wasn't until a life-changing encounter that her path to Nashville was set. The breakthrough moment. In 1974, Reba McEntire's life took a pivotal turn when she sang the national anthem at the National Finals Rodeo. In the audience that night was Red Steagall, a country singer who was struck by Reba's voice. After the performance, he approached her family and offered to help her get started in Nashville. In March of 1975, Reba and her mother, Jacine, packed their belongings and left behind their life in Oklahoma for the bright lights of Nashville, with no guarantee of success. Nashville, however, proved to be much more difficult than Reba had expected. They arrived with very little money and had to rely on Red Steagall's connections to navigate the music industry. Reba and her mother found a small apartment, and Reba worked odd jobs while focusing on getting noticed by record labels. The road was filled with rejection, but they persevered, and in November of 1975, Reba signed her first record deal with Mercury Records. The struggles and early setbacks. Reba's debut single, I Don't Want to Be a One-Night Stand, was released in 1976, but it failed to chart. Over the next few years, Reba continued to release albums, but they struggled to find an audience. Her first album, released in 1977, peaked at number 88 on the country charts, and her highest charting single, Sweet Dreams, only reached number 19. The slow pace of her career led to frustration, and financial struggles became a constant obstacle. Reba often performed at small clubs for little money to make ends meet, and at times she even borrowed money from her family to keep going. Despite these challenges, Reba remained committed to staying true to her country roots. Mercury Records, however, wanted her to adopt a more pop country sound, which led to clashes between Reba and her producers. In 1981, her album Heart to Heart had a more polished, pop-influenced style, but it didn't resonate with her fans, and the album peaked at number 42 on the charts. This period of struggle tested her resolve, but Reba continued to push forward, determined to stay authentic to herself and her musical vision. A breakthrough with Can't Even Get the Blues. In 1983, after 8 years of setbacks, Reba's breakthrough finally came. She released Can't Even Get the Blues, a song she fought hard to record, despite objections from her producer, who felt it didn't suit her voice. The song became her first #1 hit and marked a turning point in her career. Reba's insistence on recording it, despite the odds, paid off, and she celebrated the success of the song, even though it came while she was stranded on a broken-down tour bus. This moment of triumph was symbolic of her perseverance in the face of adversity. The song stayed on the charts for 14 weeks, cementing Reba's place in country music. In 1984, Reba made another bold decision to leave Mercury Records and sign with MCA Records. This was a risk, but it was one that ultimately paid off. At MCA, Reba was given the freedom to choose her own music, and her career skyrocketed with the release of her album, My Kind of Country, in 1984. Reba's rise to stardom. By 1984, Reba McEntire was on top of the country music world. Her album, My Kind of Country, was a huge success, and she earned 4 consecutive CMA Female Vocalist of the Year awards, from 1984 to 1987. These wins were a testament to her hard work, and they marked the beginning of her reign in country music. The album's success also helped revive interest in traditional country music, and Reba's style became a symbol of the changing sound of the genre. During this period, Reba released several other successful albums, including Whoever's in New England, which gave her 8 #1 singles. She also embraced a new image that blended glamour with country roots. Her music videos, which featured elegant outfits and dramatic settings, helped her transition into a more polished and sophisticated image, while her concerts became larger and more theatrical. By the late 1980s, Reba had evolved from a country singer into a full-fledged entertainer. The tragic loss and Reba's resilience. In 1991, Reba McEntire's life was shattered when a plane carrying 7 of her band members and her tour manager crashed into Otay Mountain in California, killing everyone on board. Reba had been scheduled to be on the flight, but had stayed behind due to illness. The loss of her friends and colleagues was devastating, but Reba found a way to cope through her music. 6 months later, she released For My Broken Heart, an album that served as a tribute to her lost band members. The album's title track was especially poignant, as it reflected Reba's deep sorrow and personal grief. The song went to #1 on the country charts and stayed there for 2 weeks, marking another milestone in her career. The album was a commercial success, becoming the first album by a female country artist to go double platinum. For Reba, this album became a way to heal, while also solidifying her place as one of country music's greatest artists. The red dress that changed everything. In 1993, Reba McEntire made headlines once again, this time for her daring red dress at the CMA Awards. The dress, designed by Sandy Spica Beretta, featured a plunging neckline and over 2,000 crystals, which shocked the country music world. Reba, known for her more conservative style, caused a stir with the bold fashion choice. The dress became the focal point of the night, overshadowing even major moments like Vince Gill winning Entertainer of the Year. The reaction to Reba's dress was mixed. Some fans praised her for her boldness, while others criticized her for stepping outside of traditional country norms. The country music world, known for its conservative values, struggled to accept this new version of Reba. Radio stations were flooded with calls, and 37 newspapers across the country covered the dress, some of them with headlines that made light of the controversy. Despite the backlash, Reba's popularity continued to soar, proving that her ability to adapt and push boundaries was a key part of her success. Reba McEntire's legacy. Reba McEntire's story is one of resilience, reinvention, and undeniable talent. From her humble beginnings in McAlester, Oklahoma, to becoming one of country music's most iconic and fearless figures, Reba has overcome obstacles and made her mark on the world. Her ability to blend traditional country sounds with contemporary influences, as well as her willingness to take risks in her image and music, has made her a trailblazer in the genre. Today, Reba McEntire is not only a country music legend, but also an advocate for social issues, including LGBTQ rights and various charitable causes. Through her music, her perseverance, and her willingness to be bold, Reba has become an icon whose influence will continue to be felt for generations to come.